Hey Doug, what you doing?
Hey, so this is the cover crop, and I'm gonna show today just how to cutting it and when it's ready to be cut, and how to do that with a sickle, and then identifying when that stage is when it's right.
When was this planted?
This was planted in October, so into a stand. We had the three sisters planted here. You see the corn. So this was all dry corn and squash, and interplanted the cover crop seed, mixed it in right after harvesting the corn. So this grew up a good bit in October, November, then went dormant through the winter and started to resprout in March. So it's had a few months of growing, and it's just entering, the rye is just entering its milk stage, which is when the plant takes starting to form the seed head. So it's taking the energy from its roots, from its body, and putting it into its making the seed. So it's entering its reproductive stage. So if we cut it at this time, when all of that energy is going up to the seed head, then it won't resprout. Rye will come back if you cut it earlier than the milk stage, because when a rye is a perennial, it'll keep sprouting. But if you wait for it to start to put its energy into the seed and cut it, it won't resprout, and the roots will decompose and become organic matter in the soil, and the plant itself will lay down on top of the soil,
So
covering it.
today is June 11th. So is it usually mid-June when the milky stage is happening to the rye cover crop?
Every year is a little different. It's been pretty cool, except for the last week, and rainy this spring. So the rye it's usually end of May, beginning of June that the rye enters its milk stage. But being a little cooler this year, it's taken a little bit more time, and I think that's a really good thing, because as gardeners, as farmers, you need to listen to what nature is telling us in a way, and less control over things, and Mother Nature knows when the time is right to plant. So it's been cool, so maybe it's not hasn't been time to plant the tomatoes and the squash and the beans yet, and she's telling us through the plants that are growing now. So now that the rye is starting to form its seed, it kind of an indication that it's a good time to start planting our warm season crops. So I'll just show you what the rye looks like when it's entering its milk stage. So this is a rye plant. You can see the flowers, which are the small little ones right in there. So it's entering its reproductive stage, making flowers, and then it's starting to form the seed. So just if you take off some of the actual seed pods, and pull it back the anthers, and you'll find where the seed is starting to form, and it's going to be very small. But if you press your finger, and you'll see a little bit of liquid come out from the forming seed, and it'll be right there is the forming seed. And if you take it and you can press your fingers into it, you may not be able to see it in the camera, but there's moisture and liquid in that seed. So that's the sap from the plant starting to form the seed head. So once you can see a clear to milky white liquid coming out of the seed head, so you can see it's a little moist right in there, that's the seed starting to form, and so that's an indication that this is a good time to cut the plant.
About how much of a window do you have for that milky stage?
It's about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks usually.
Oh.
So you don't want to cut it too late, because if you wait for the plant to fully mature and turn brown, it's already taken up all of the nutrition from its roots and put it into the seed. And part of the idea of planting the cover crops is to cut the plants and allow the roots and all of the nutrition that is accumulated in the roots to die and decompose and become part of the soil. So if you wait too long, all of that nutrition has been taken up into the plant and then just lays on top. But if you cut it at the milk stage, when it's flowering, when the vetch is flowering, when the peas are flowering, that's kind of the climax of its exudation. So it's putting out a lot of nutrition and holding a lot of nutrition still in its roots. And it's starting to pull some of it up into its seed. but cutting it right at that time, at that milk stage, is going to leave a lot of that nutrition, a lot of that good stuff that the soil needs to build and to grow in the earth. And then so this is what it looks like after it's cut.
When was this cut?
This was cut a week ago. So it just becomes straw mulch basically on top of the soil and then in the soil, and you can see, so this was cut a week ago and you can see how rich and dark the soil is. So that's all of the roots and the exudates from the rye and the vetch and the peas.
So was that too early to cut it because it wasn't?
No, it was still entering its flower stage. It's just been a slow season, but as you can see, like the soil is ready to plant, and the plant body itself, the straw just lays on top and covers the soil until it's time to replant right into it.
So that's about a week from
Yep.
cutting it to when it's ready to be planted.
Ready to be planted.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll just show real quick just one way to cut it. So this is a sickle. You can use a scythe. You can also just crimp the rye, which is just bending it. So if you bend it, and you can kind of hear it crack almost, that's cutting off the flow of sap from the roots to the seed head. So that's going to also kill the plant in a way, and the roots are going to decompose in the soil. So that's another way to do it. But I use a sickle or a scythe. I'll just show you. So when it's in the milk stage, you just take it and cut it, as close to the soil surface as you can, an inch or so above the soil. And then you go down, and I just kind of take the plant and make sure that it's covering up the soil that you just cut, the space that you're just cutting. And that way it will keep the weeds, any weeds, from regrowing and act as a mulch until a few days from now, where it'll be ready to start planting into. So, and then it'll look like that in about a few days. It's going to be very hot and sunny this week, so it'll turn from green to tan brown in probably 3 or 4 or 5 days. So that's that.
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome, Alan.